Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with the Arena World Championship and the first tournament of patch 8.2. The new meta, the new teams coming in here, and we have our Elimination series to round out the day. 2 more series and 2 more teams sent home. 2 more, of course, will also advance to Sunday, where we will do our top 4 broadcasts for both Europe and North America. But here we have to decide who will qualify to that. I'm Healingstad, and I'm hosting. We have Venruki, Supertease, and Zico here on the desk, and this is going to be an absolute doozy. We've got Zizon on one side, who have been looking better and better, with Jamie obviously added to play with Drainer. It's kind of like this perfect amalgamation. They've been playing the TSG, the Warrior Death Knight, which is a composition we've heard is very strong in the current meta, but now they've got to play against Wildcard Gaming, who, quite frankly, I don't know where to place them right now, because they were so great, rivaling Method Black towards the end of spring. They won 3 cups back to back to back at the end of that season, but now they just seem to have fallen off out of nowhere.
Yeah, they're really struggling to find their footing. I do think they have good compositions in this particular matchup. Obviously, Blizzo, he's been opting to play the Windwalker Monk quite a bit. Despite Arms Warriors getting buffed, we still saw him on the Windwalker Monk a little bit earlier today. And him with Maro and Looney, I think they have basically the perfect composition to go into these double melee setups. So they do have that Windwalker Frostmage Restoration Druid. We do know that there is other stuff that we could see Zizon run in this matchup. They don't necessarily have to run the Arms Warrior on Holy Death Knight. They could bring in Jamie on the Elemental Shaman and bring in the Elemental Shaman. And we'll have to see what exactly they decide to get done.
Yeah, I mean, we'll really have to see it. Obviously, it's kind of anyone's guess at this moment. Maybe Jamie comes through on that Elemental. Shame, we'll have to see if your prediction is correct on that one. But here, we will be heading into the blind pick. Wildcard Gaming, I mean, honestly, Zizon, yes, they lost to Method Black, but it seems like everyone's losing to Method Black right now, so you can't be too disappointed in them for that result. You guys still think that they're the favorite, with 64% of you voting for Drainer's team here. But Wildcard Gaming, let's not forget, you know, these guys, they came second at the summer finals last year. They had 3 cups, 1 out of 8 so far in Europe. These guys should not be underestimated. And if they just get 3-0'd here, I'm going to be so disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to see what compositions are they going to lock in. Is it going to be a battle of the Cleave versus the Frostmage Windwalker Monk? I'll have to wait and find out. Looks like actually Zizon, they're going to be leading with Jamie on the Elemental Shaman, Nerd Rage on the Warrior. And we see Blizzo.
It could have been a mirror.
Yeah, Blizzo's actually coming in. He's going to be playing the Arms Warrior as well as Zeepai on the Unholy Death Knight. And this is the composition you would expect Zizon to be running, but Wildcard Gaming is going to be taking their comp from them and trying to beat them at their own game.
It's been a while since we've seen Nerd Rage and Blizzo go head-to-head on Arms Warrior here today. And I think what is thankful for both teams is that Rogue Mage is giving each of these teams the most trouble, and really neither one of them can actually play Rogue Mage. So it's likely that we will see compositions that we haven't seen yet in the tournament play head-to-head. This Arms Warrior Elemental Shaman is one we haven't seen in some time, as well as the return of the Death Knight and the Warrior together, with occasionally popping up in 8.1.5. I think it's going to be a lot more standard here in 8.2. So far, pressure is quite difficult to say. Both teams have been switching targets quite frequently. Now Looney getting swapped to by Zizon, trying to mix it up there, catch Looney off guard. Big damage actually onto him. How's he going to handle this? Barkskin doesn't appear to be enough. Nerd Rage is just chopping him up. They drop the Ursul's Vortex. They Stormbolt Nerd Rage. This gives time for Looney to escape out of line of sight, but Jamie repositions over to the left side. Nerd Rage is going to be moving in here shortly. Jamie can't stay there for too long. That Pack Spirit nerf going to be reducing the healing of all the specializations of Shaman's healing, so he can't just solely rely on it. Blizzo now the target here. Zizon switching. Now going back to Looney as well. I would say that Zizon have much more control in terms of momentum at this point.
Yeah, Looney does manage to get behind the pillar. It does look like he should be able to stabilize at this point. Zeepai and Blizzo, they're trying to go after Jamie, but the Elemental Shaman is really durable. Of course, has plate armor. He's going to be able to use the Thunderstorm to knock Blizzo and Zeepai off of him. He's going to be able to kite around in the Ghostful form, but is susceptible to damage during these stun attempts when the Stormbolt comes in from Blizzo. That's when you're really going to see Jamie taking quite a bit of damage. A nice grip onto Drainer, bring him to Jamie with double intimidating shout. Jamie is able to get the Tremor Totem off and free Drainer from that crowd control. Drainer hopefully should be able to catch up at this point. There's a Lightning Lasso over onto Blizzo. Decent damage coming in. Nerd Rage actually having to play a little bit more defense. He's lost the pressure onto Looney. Now he has to come back and try to help Jamie.
All right, let's see if he can get back and help Jamie. The one advantage, though, of the Elemental Shaman is that the Ghost Wolf grants mobility, so Drainer's heal over time effects can support while Jamie avoids the fight. And this is, I feel like a match we haven't seen since Legion. And I would say back in Legion, the Elemental Shaman team was favored, so we'll have to wait and see if it's still the case here in patch 8.2. And it was mostly favored because the Elemental Shaman is so difficult to actually attack. Wildcard Gaming are mixing it up now. They're going after Drainer instead. Both teams going after the healers quite frequently. Drainer gets cycloned by Looney. They tried to intercept with an intimidating shot, but it was 1 second too late. Blizzo disarmed Looney and a Hex out of that. Great crowd control chain by Zizon, potentially enough to close the game out. Blizzo gets her shock, big connect, big lightning bolts. It's just going to die through Ironbark and die by the sword. Unlikely now at this point. Looney saves him, but at a significant cost.
Yeah, Blizzo still not out of it yet. Nerd Rage trying to connect. He trinkets out of the Stormbolt. Blizzo leaps away. Can Jamie take him down? Blizzo does manage to fall. Zizon, a nice attempt by them. They're going to put the first point on the board. That was huge damage onto Blizzo, and Looney just could not recover.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. You know, the Arms Warriors, we talk about one of their strengths being the fact they have defensive stance, passive damage reduction, plus Iron Blood, plus the HOTS from the Resto Druid, but pure damage on the side of Zizon, and that was really, I don't want to say it was against the tempo because it really looked like neither team was really making a dent in the armor. Then suddenly the Thundercleave comes through. Big win for Zizon.
Yeah, I don't know what Jamie was talking about. The Shaman's not doing damage.
Yeah, it seemed like the damage was pretty good.
Seems like they had plenty of damage to dish out in this match. We see, you know, the standard strategy here, a lot of pressure onto the enemy healer, and that kind of does expose you for things like this to happen. But you see that lasso not really doing the damage that we're used to seeing here onto Blizzo, but still Looney caught up in a nice crowd control chain there, followed up with the Hex there from Jamie. The disarm as well is going to just keep Blizzo, you know, immobile, and there's a big overlap right there. Looney trinket Ironbarks, Blizzo uses die by the sword, and I think there's a lot of purges here as well coming out from Jamie here. Yeah, you can see it. Every single global basically is just stripping Blizzo off of his healing over time effects, and then of course he's loading up that Maelstrom to get one final shock. He didn't even get the Earth shock off there in the end, actually. Just took him down.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of against the run of play. Like we talk about Wildcard Gaming, the reputation they have is just being this team with an insurmountable defense. You know, they rotate cooldowns perfectly here. That was a bit of a chink in the armor, you know, an overlap, and then still dying through. Absolutely crazy, but it speaks to how much Zizon have improved, I suppose.
I mean, Zizon, they've been doing a phenomenal job, and I feel like this patch has kind of helped them a lot. I mean,
yeah.
It seems like Arms Warriors, Nerd Rage being able to play as Arms Warrior, and that being like a focal point of their, you know, their team and the setups that they run. He has really good synergy with Jamie on not only the Elemental Shaman, but also the Unholy Death Knight, and it just seems like they're firing on all cylinders. For Wildcard Gaming, I mean, we haven't seen Morrow tagged in quite some time. Unfortunately, I feel like the Frost Mage would actually be a decent answer here, and I think that's where they found a lot of their success in, you know, the spring season was with Morrow on that Frost Mage, but we haven't seen him play as often, and I wonder if that's something they need to do in this particular matchup. Do they need to bring in the Mage and try out some of those compositions?
Yeah, it's very weird, right? Because we see a lot of these teams succeeding with the Mage and the Druid, and at the start of spring, Wildcard Gaming was doing just as well as everyone else. They were playing, I think, Windwalker Mage with Blizzo on the Windwalker quite a lot. Elemental Mage as well with Zeepai, of course. And I mean, here now, it feels like there's almost something wrong inside the team because Morrow just is not playing in any of these cups. They're losing without him. They're not really putting him in situations where we think he should. Is that really something that Wildcard Gaming's been suffering in summer, do you think so?
Yeah, I think Wildcard Gaming should reshuffle the deck, draw a new hand here, because that was a matchup that played out, I would say, similarly to how it used to play out. The Elemental Shaman, the Warrior against 2 melee was a pretty good pick. So, I mean, they could even mirror.
Yeah, I was going to say, does Zeepai play Elemental Shaman?
Yeah, I think once or twice.
He has before.
I would like to see this series result in a mirror and just clearly decide this placed on player ability rather than necessarily compositional advantage. That would definitely be a treat. Considering these teams run such similar compositions, this would be a good way to establish where they are in 8.2 in terms of power.
Do you think this was just kind of a smart pick from Zizon then? Because I think it's fair to say Wildcard Gaming might have anticipated the TSG and just gone bullheaded with a mirror.
Then why didn't Wildcard Gaming play Elemental Arms Warrior?
That's true.
I mean, they could have just countered them at that point. So, I don't know. I feel like Zizon definitely won the mind game. They won the blind pick. We destroyed Blizzo in game number 1. Now, what is Wildcard Gaming going to do? At worst, they have to go to a mirror. But, I mean, you would expect them to play a mirror, right?
Maybe. I mean, maybe they have something better.
Like, I mean, you guys play Europe a lot. Wildcard Gaming, this is a team, I mean, they played Thunder quite a bit in the past, right?
Honestly, this is the thing that I'm just the most surprised about with Wildcard Gaming. Like, I feel like they should still be a top 2 team. I don't know why they're not. These players, they haven't got worse, I don't think, or anything like that. Maybe, like, all I can think is that maybe something internally, like, it's not going so well for them inside their roster.
Interpersonal coach?
Yeah, maybe they need a little bit of Sid.
I don't know.
No one sounds convinced about that, so we'll put that one on the table for now. But Wildcard Gaming, they definitely need something here because a lot of people at home like expect these guys to be doing well. We expect them to be doing well, and I mean here, maybe they will just lock in the mirror. I'd love to see it. I mean, Zipie on Elemental, Shaman versus Jamie, that's kind of one of the ultimate showdowns for Europe.
Yeah, I think that would be nice. I think Mage Ellie as well, or Mage Windwalker potentially could be nice as well for Wildcard Gaming. I personally want to see Mario just tagged in, but they are going to go for the mirror.
Love it. There we go.
Right.
That's confidence, if anything's confidence.
Okay, so we got throughout, you know, I wouldn't say the last like 2 or so expansions at least, you know, Zipie and Jamie, they've been considered, you know, the best allies. Nerd Rage and Blizzo has been considered, you know, actually Blizzo and Nerd Rage have been considered the number 1 and 2, you know, warriors. And, you know, Drainer, he's been one of the best shamans, but he's been picking up the Druid, you know, recently and been doing really well with it. So this is, and of course Looney, I mean, you guys already know what I think of Looney. So this is pretty much...
Is he the best Druid in the world?
Again, we're not having this conversation now.
Who is the best Druid if not him?
Is it Drainer?
Sid, can you resolve this conflict for us here on the desk, please? Because honestly,
I feel like I disrupted your flow. Continue.
I feel like before these last 2 cups, I would have been 100% Looney fanboy, but right now I just feel like they're slowing down. I don't know anymore if you can really say whether or not, because that, like in that last game, that was a mistake that I would never anticipate Looney to make an unresponsive cooldown reaction and then stacking everything all at the same time.
Wait, Looney's being greedy with cooldowns?
Well, yeah, but not making a mistake though. He'll get away with it. He's greedy and then gets away with it. But this is a situation where it just seemed like they weren't prepared.
I think the thing is,
honestly, I think Looney, even with 1 arm, is potentially the best rested Druid.
Well, there we go. So Looney still a lot of confidence coming in from Zeke and Looney there. This is the mirror, guys. It doesn't get better than this. I think the Arms Warriors definitely have given us a fresh flavor to this meta as well. Very happy to see them. A lot of offense comes in with the Sharpened Blade. It's a 50% healing reduction when they do opt to use that. And you can see that this Elemental Warrior composition, even in a slow-paced meta, can be absolutely explosive. So when 2 of them go at it, boy, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly will be, and I'm curious to see how this one plays out. Wildcard Gaming deciding to mirror match against Zizon. Bulls on the Arms Warrior. A treat to see, really. Zipie on the Elemental Shaman. He's been holding it down for years and years. And, of course, Looney on that Restoration Druid. He might be the X factor in this matchup. We'll have to see if Drainer can perform at the same level we normally see Looney. And Drainer, he has been doing a really good job, so I wouldn't even doubt it.
This is so great to see Blizzo and Nerd Rage go head-to-head on the Arms Warriors. Jamie, Zipie go head-to-head on the Elementals. And, of course, Looney and Drainer on the healers. Drainer, again, is ulting on the Restoration Druid. But at this point, I feel like he's established a lot of confidence on it. I wouldn't say that he is dramatically behind that of Looney. Let's see if Zizon can clear this series up and really establish their position in terms of European power in the European Cup number 3. We're halfway through the summer season after this. A lot on the line. I mean, these teams are 2nd and 3rd, at least, I mean, tied for 3rd right now, a 3-way tie there. So if Zizon gets knocked out, that's an opportunity for 3 other teams to maybe pass them. If they don't get knocked out, then they continue to build their lead. Wildcard Gaming can't really afford to lose this series against Zizon for the overall outcome of this season, let alone just this series.
Just getting a lot of pressure rolling onto Zipie, and little things like damage done in a matchup like this really add up. Who's doing more burst damage, who's doing more consistent pressure, creating windows of opportunity for their team. I think that's something we're definitely going to have to look at. Zipie getting a little bit low. There's been good pressure from Nerd Rage and Jamie, but a swap now over onto Drainer. He gets caught into a Stormbolt, caught into a follow-up stun by the Earth Elemental of Zipie. Does manage to hold on, but he traded out the Bark Skin and the Iron Bark. And Looney, he manages to find the Cyclone. What are they going to be able to get done right now? Zizon, they're falling apart.
Right now, there's a significant difference in terms of build between Blizzo and Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage still running the Conflict and Strife, whereas Blizzo is running the Vision of Perfection. So Blizzo gets some cooldown reduction, and he gets Blade Storms all the time. 100% Blade Storm uptime, okay? It's a mathematical calculation. He's going to be doing a lot of pressure and getting a lot of uptime as a result. I think that the Vision of Perfection is much better offensively. It's generating, it looks, at least on the health bar, it looks like it's establishing a lot more damage. This is a matchup where I would love a damage meter to know exactly how far ahead each player is respectively in this given matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blizzo is a little bit ahead. You can see, look at the damage. Zizon, they really are falling apart. There's a bash over on the Drainer. You can see Jamie, he's 40% health. Nerd Rage is getting low. Big swap over on the Drainer. Caught into a Stormbolt. He's used the Iron Bark as well as the Barkskin and Safeguard procs. Blizzo chopping everyone up in this matchup with Zeepai backing him up. Looney's barely breaking a sweat so far. Zeepai, he's doing quite well on health. There has been a stabilization period here for Zizon as they do manage to hold on. Jamie safeguard procs from him as he's looking to get behind the pillar and avoid some of this incoming damage, but the pressure really is unrelenting. Finally, Zizon building up a little damage, but the Lightning Lasso onto Jamie forces out his Trinket and the Astral Shift.
That's the only difference in terms of build, is just the essence. And I think Blizzo, when I'm kind of cheating, looking over at another scheme of the damage, I think he's doing double the damage of Nerd Rage or close to it. And it's really established here in this game. I mean, Drainer is struggling to recover. Jamie hovering at 20%. Iron Bark, is that even going to be enough here? Looney gets swapped too. Zizon are trying to create a miracle here, catch Looney off guard, but he's repositioned, he's recovering. Jamie trying to reposition, but Lightning Lasso from Zeepai. There's no one there to stop it. Fully channeled Lightning Lasso into an Earth Shock. Nerd Rage moves in, intimidating shot on Zeepai, trying to stall the fight. Drainer comes out of the Cyclone, tries to connect some heals. Elemental Shaman of Jamie in a bit of trouble right now. No Astral Shift, no Iron Bark, 18 seconds away, so Jamie's going to avoid the fight, stay very far away. Use Lightning Lasso almost just to hold Looney in place. Nerd Rage going to switch to Looney as well. Both of these compositions are, well, it's the same composition. They're explosive. You can switch targets quite easily when you've built up Maelstrom. Just drop down a Stormbolt with a couple of Earth Shocks, and suddenly you've got pressure. So every single player in this game needs to be aware of that. They could be a target at any moment.
Yeah, Jamie with good cutting, a good Thunderstorm, forcing Blizzo to sort of attack Nerd Rage at this point. Blizzo gets caught into a Stormbolt. Looney, he has the Iron Bark, but he's just focusing on control right now. Drainer getting caught into the Cyclone, finally freed up. He can play catch up with his team right now. Jamie did a really good job there avoiding damage during that moment where Drainer really couldn't heal him. Finally, the Iron Bark comes in from Drainer. That should keep him alive. We're about 30 seconds away from Dampening kicking in. And really, anyone could have fallen at any point.
Blizzo just procced 3 Blade Storms in a row, and I was just watching him spin on Jamie. Drainer now getting swapped to. Blizzo proccing another Blade Storm on Drainer. Very low on health. If he gets there to connect and execute, might be the end of the game. Gladiator Safeguard procced. Zeepai's going to purge that off. Blizzo has sharpened Blade up. He's in battle stance. Blizzo is ready to close it. He's going to leap back, though. Looney's in trouble. Is he going to be able to save Looney? Both warriors blade storming at each other. Nerd Rage Stormbolted at low health. He's going to use the Trinket Die by the Sword. That's going to prevent the kill on him. What's the mana situation like right now? Mana may matter between these compositions. Drainer got some back, but Nerd Rage is cycloned at low health. Looney's looking to reposition.
Oh, nice!
Could be the end of the game. Big connect on a Nerd Rage. Where's Blizzo? He needs to get over there. He's getting a healing surge from Zeepai and Jamie. Both elementals healing each other's warriors, saving the day there. Dampening has kicked in, and things are going to get chaotic from this point on.
Yeah, Lightning Lasso over on the Looney. Is he going to be able to survive? He's trying to cut away, but Nerd Rage is all over him. Finally getting a little bit of room to breathe. Goes with a light Thunderbolt, or sorry, a bolt over onto Jamie, a Stormbolt. There we go, got the right name. Onto Jamie, controlling him up just a little bit. We're at 5% dampening. Both teams are sort of stabilizing. We look at mana, both Druids are relatively even. I would say in terms of cooldowns, Wildcard Gaming has a little bit of a lead, but really nothing too significant.
All right, teams are even here in Dampening. Zizon, can they clear this series up? Just go for the clean 3-0 against Wildcard Gaming. I wouldn't have ever anticipated that. Wildcard Gaming, they were the clear rivals of Method Black for so long, but they're just falling off at this point in the tournament series. They need to have a good comeback. They can't afford to lose to Zizon in this series. I would say that they've had good momentum in the earlier stages, but now with Dampening kicked in, the teams are totally evened off. It's still anyone's game.
Yeah. Drainer opting to use his Iron Bark as well as his Innervate to get some additional healing rolling on his team. Zeepai could be in some trouble. Nerd Rage is all over him. He has the Avatar rolling. Lightning Lasso as defense from Zeepai as he's using this pillar to escape, and he's actually developed a lot of pressure on Nerd Rage. he has to be careful. There is no die by the sword available, and Blizzo is all over him. Triple Fear coming in, Lightning Lasso on Zeepai to deny the Tremor Totem. Really good setup there coming in from Wildcard Gaming. You see Zeepai right now still developing some pressure. Nerd Rage turning his attention onto him as both warriors are attacking the Elemental Shamans. And actually, both teams are completely stabilized.
Both teams stabilized here. Mana still even. Looney getting crowd controlled on his Innervate, though. That may put him slightly behind. Jamie has Astral Shift available. I feel like, though, Blizzo has not had to even come close to using Dab of the Sword. Zeepai neither with his Astral Shift. So if that continues, the momentum moving into Dampening, I feel like Wildcard Gaming should be more than capable of taking this and tying it up, which then opens up the board. Is Zizon going to stay with the mirror, or are they going to play something else? Zigo's saying in the pregame analysis, I think there are actually counters to the Warrior Elemental. Like you said, the Frost Mage Elemental, Windwalker Frost, I feel like would do decently fine in this particular matchup. Jamie in a lot of trouble. Momentum swinging heavily in favor. Blizzo is just chopping Jamie to pieces, turning him into salami at this point in the game. There's no more defense remaining. Mana is limited. Dampening is high. Jamie uses Lightning Lasso in desperation to hold Blizzo at bay. Nerd Rage pulls back to assist. They're trying to kill Blizzo. He is overextended with no Gliders Medallion. Can they KO Blizzo on the overextension? No. Denied, but at the cost of the entire defensive lineup, and good positioning from Jamie at least keeps his team in the game.
Yeah, nicely done. Blizzo in battle stance right now, playing really aggressive. He wants to take down Jamie, but it could cost him. Nerd Rage really chopping him up right now. Jamie manages to escape. If we look at Mana, Looney way ahead, but like you said, Blizzo, he committed everything. There's no Dive of the Sword, there's no Iron Bark for another 15 seconds. Blizzo just still overextending on Jamie. This could be a big mistake. Lightning Lasso over onto Blizzo. Nerd Rage developing a lot of pressure. Drainer just spamming out the Solar Ass. They were really looking to close out the game, but Looney in a position where he could essentially just free cast, easily keeps Blizzo alive despite the 23% dampening. Wildcard Gaming stay in it, but that was a really nice offensive push by Zizon. Good
offensive push there. I don't even know if it was an offensive push. It was more of like a counter push. But Jamie has been the main focus. Maybe the Warriors end up being the target. I mean, Elemental Shaman is so difficult to actually stay on as an arms warrior. Blizzo with the essence of provision of perfection with Bladestorm proccing multiple times, gets him out of slows, could be an advantage if this ends up being a Shaman race for both teams. I would say that Blizzo is favored if that ends up being the case. Whereas if Nerd Rage goes after Blizzo, he can support a lot more. He's running the disarm, he's running the duel. He's going to add a lot more defensive utility to stop the damage of the Warrior. I think that we would like to see Nerd Rage targeting Blizzo instead in this position. He's spending a lot of time on Jamie. Jamie still has lots of defense. He's been leaving Blizzo alone. I don't think that this is going to be the best choice. Maybe it will. They do manage to finally pull an Astral Shift from Zeepai. Drainer's been adding quite a bit of damage to the fight with Moonfire, adding in some stuns, although maybe unnecessary War Stomp there. Blizzo gets Ursus Vortex on his leap. Zeepai is still low on health. Looney in crowd control. Where's the Tremor? They drop the Tremor. Now in a reversal, Blizzo gets a double Intimidating Shout. Much more high value on that. Jamie has to use Gliders Medallion, Tremor Totem to break it. Nerd Rage down at about half. Still has Dive by the Sword. Iron Bark activated instead. Zeepai is now the most vulnerable target in the game with no Iron Bark and no Astral Shift. Wildcard Gaming need to buy time for that defense. They're trying to buy time by attacking Nerd Rage and forcing him away, but they're not even forcing him away. He doesn't care. He's pushing for the win. Lightning Lasso on a Zeepai. Nerd Rage goes into battle stance. He's trying to close it out. Lead the series 2-0. Can he connect? Blizzo stalls him out with a stun. Zeepai follows up with another stun. Wraps around the corner. Catches a healing surge. Stabilizing himself. And now it's Nerd Rage who spent maybe too much time in the deep end.
Yeah, Jamie getting hit by a huge Earth Shock in that moment. Zeepai putting out good pressure. Iron Bark looking to keep him alive. Drainer, he doesn't really have too much mana left to work with right now. Jamie really struggling to get topped off. Drainer finally lands the Iron Bark. There's a bash over onto Jamie, but it may be too little too late. He has no mana. Wildcard Gaming has a big lead in that regard. Looney's been doing a really good job managing his mana in this game. There's a Cyclone over onto Jamie, now onto Drainer. Beautiful control. How is Jamie going to survive this situation? He tries to kite away in Ghostful, but I just don't think it's enough. Blizzo with a nice interrupt with that pummel is able to land the execute, and Wildcard Gaming with the mirror match tie up the series.
I said double damage, but that's because I had to look over your shoulder to try and see it. Was it double damage? Because I don't think it was the way you looked at me when I said it.
Yeah, I think the big take we got away from that game, in addition to the fact that the mirror was absolutely fantastic as Wildcard Gaming, is that Sid is not only offering interpersonal relationship advice, he's also offering math classes here.
I couldn't see it. It's not math. Okay, it's reading comprehension when you're limited on vision. Okay.
Okay. Good for the clarification. convincing. This is the sales pitch right here. So
Yes.
it's not just me convincing, it's the folks at home as well. But here, these teams are really lionizing the mirrors in these situations, folks. We've had the Rogue Mages, now we have the Elemental Warrior, the Thundercleave, if you will, and we have a tied-up series. And honestly, that game was actually really back and forth, although I must admit the pressure at most points did look like it was in favor of Wildcard.
Yep, and I mean, Wildcard, they just seem to have, you know, the edge. If you do like a pound for pound between the players, I would just give it to Wildcard Gaming on, you know, I think the Warriors are really, really even. The LAs are quite even as well, but overall, I would say Wildcard just has that little bit of extra individual skill on their side. And then, of course, at the end, they also have Looney, who is a little bit of an X factor. Sets up the team for the win here at the end. Goes for the bash, goes for a clone. Clone gets grounded. He goes for another cyclone, lands, and actually no, he goes for the cyclone on Jamie, and then he goes for the cyclone on Drainer with that vortex, and he lands it, of course, and that's going to be enough damage from Blizzo and Zipa to end the match.
It's kind of the perfect meta for Wildcard Gaming here, right? With the Arms Warriors in the meta now, it's perfect. You know, you've got Blizzo, one of the best Arms Warriors, and if there's something Wildcard Gaming needed, it is more arms. So what Looney obviously coming through here, pulling through with the victory and tying up the series, one apiece between them and Zizon. And I'm super happy about it because these are the two teams, you know, we talk about, you got the Mage Druid teams, the Rogue Mages, and then you've got Zizon and Wildcard who always try and upset the flow a little bit, and they're doing a great job here, putting on an absolute show for us. Loser will be eliminated. Winner will, of course, go through to Sunday's top 4. It's Wildcard Gaming versus Zizon. Still anyone's match here, folks. It is a 1-1 series here between Wildcard Gaming and Zizon. The mirror on the wall has favored Wildcard Gaming just for now, though, as we do have a best of 5 here between these two teams. And of course, the swing match is still in favor of Zizon, since they did manage to pick up the blind pick. I'm Healing Stat hosting. We have Venruki Super Tees and Zico on the desk for us in this series. 2 series remaining, both of them elimination, so the stakes could not be higher, with the 3rd cup of the summer season. And both of these teams, you know, Zizon, yes, they're on the kind of, they're doing better. They're 2nd in the current standings for Europe, but it's very, very close between 2nd and 6th. And Wildcard Gaming would absolutely love to topple them here and catch up on that advantage just a little bit.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Zizon, they're actually trying to swing the matchup in their favor just a little bit. They're actually bringing in Drainer on the Mistweaver Monk instead of the Restoration Druid. We kind of talked about our feelings, how maybe Looney was that X factor that gave Wildcard Gaming a little bit of an edge in that last matchup when we looked at the 2 healers going head-to-head, but Drainer on the Mistweaver Monk, I think on this smaller map, he's going to be able to get out a lot of instant crowd control with the paralysis and the leg sweep onto Looney, and that might be the CC that they need to actually take someone down like Zipai.
Yeah, and it's worth noting as well that Drainer has proven himself time and time again as a multi-classing healer, absolutely excellent on honestly all 5 classes. But I think if you were to pin one class with Drainer, you know, if you're like matching, you're going to put him on the Monk. You're going to put him on the Monk here, and it could well be the X Factor, because if you say Looney is the best Druid, you're probably going to also say that Drainer is the best Monk.
Well, yeah, if Looney's not in the conversation.
You think Looney's the best Monk as well?
No,
Do you think if they lose this, Looney goes over to the Monk as well? He's just chasing.
No, he's definitely up there. I mean, they're both up there. Well, I don't know who
up
the best.
Like just between you and I, up here or
You're
like
so
up here?
non-committal lately. Like you used to.
I live with you, man.
Do you
Canadian is rubbing off on that.
That's true.
Do you do commitment classes as well, Sid? Just checking.
Wait, do I what?
I have a friend who's interested.
He has a hard time committing to things.
I don't have commitment issues when it comes to. Well,
I totally didn't get that.
Okay, we're going
over
into
my
game
head.
3 here between the 2 teams. It is Thundercleave once again, the Elemental and the Arms Warrior for both, but it's the Mistweaver coming in for Drainer versus Looney's Druid. So really, you know, these are every member, all 6 on their main classes, all of them playing absolutely fantastically. I can't wait to see who's going to come out on top.
All right, let's see. I mean, if the Mistweaver ends up feeling much better, I actually think Looney will switch to Mistweaver, but if it isn't drastically superior should Zizon win this, then no, I don't expect Looney to switch over, but that would definitely be interesting to see if Looney can prove his dominance on Druid and Mistweaver in the same series against Drainer.
I wonder if they're just going to be going after Looney and trying to use that to their advantage. Drainer can maybe keep himself alive a little bit easier. Drainer just trades out the life cocoon. That's one thing he does. consistently is he just doesn't want to fall behind on the Misweaver Monk. He's completely willing to just trade out that very powerful Life Cocoon to avoid a lot of the incoming damage to top off his team. And I think it's intelligent. The worst part about the Misweaver Monk is if you fall behind, you make yourself very susceptible to interrupts. Actually, Drainer gets caught into a full intimidating shout right now, as well as Jamie. That was really nicely set up. Nerd Rage could be in a little bit of trouble. He's getting low. There's not too much backup, and there's no Life Cocoon. Do you think Drainer is going to be able to keep him alive?
I mean, at this point, it's not looking too good. Now pummeled and unable to heal.
Oh, no!
Hit. They're trying to hold on and not use the die by the sword, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to be able to get away with that exchange. Looks like they're going to be able to get away with it. Now trying to switch to Looney again and try and push him away and deny some Cyclones. Drainer getting swapped to for a moment. He's going to Transcendence around out of line of sight. Use Ring of Peace to stop the reconnect. Looney tries to Cyclone him. Drainer max ranges it. Looney, is he going to go for the Cyclone again? Doesn't look like it. We see a Hex on Jamie. This is the advantage of the Druid, is you can remove Hex, whereas Drainer can't. So Jamie is going to sit every single Hex from Zeepai. They Cyclone him out of Hex. This added crowd control may be a factor for Wildcard's victory later on.
Yeah, Blizzo caught into a Lightning Lasso, and you can really tell. I mean, Lightning Lasso was nerfed. It doesn't do as much damage anymore, so when you see a Lightning Lasso being fully channeled out, it's not nearly as scary as it was in the previous patch, and I think that sort of takes away the one-shot ability of these Elemental Shaman when they are dragging people behind the pillar. Zeepai channeling out the Lightning Lasso right now, putting out good pressure over onto Jamie. Blade Storm being used by Blizzo, generating a whole bunch of pressure. If we look at mana right now, Drainer does have a slight lead, but there has been moments in the game where Drainer on that Misweaver Monk has sort of struggled to keep his team alive. I mean, on this smaller map, he's always going to be susceptible to a wind shear of Zeepai. He'll pretty much always be in range. And I think that's something we have to look for. I think Drainer's really going to struggle as the game goes on.
Nerd Rage switched to the Vision of Perfection as well, so both warriors are running the Beyblade builds. They're going to be spinning quite frequently. That gives them extra mobility to stay on the Elemental Shaman, a little bit of extra multi-target damage as well. I'm curious to see if this change of essence from Nerd Rage allows him to find victory against Wildcard Gaming, because prior he was running the Conflict and Strife, trying to get access to some more Honor talents, the dual one in particular, but I don't think it was as effective as the Vision of Perfection's added damage and utility in this specific matchup. So far, no, I wouldn't say significant mana lead, maybe a slight one for Zizon. Good pressure, though, on Jamie. Puts the cooldown lead in favor of Wildcard Gaming during this attempt, maybe even just the end of the match. Drainer is interrupted. No Life Cocoon for some time. Drainer's in a position where he can cast freely, though. No one can crowd control, and because of that, Drainer is going to stabilize Jamie. Zeepai now taking some hits. Jamie going to Thunderstorm him into midfield, go for a Lightning Lasso, and try and cross the battle to stop the drink. Looney got a bit of mana, though, evening the odds.
Zeepai is a little bit low. Looney trying to keep him alive with the Iron Bark. Both teams just sort of bouncing around between all three targets, just looking for opportunistic swaps. They have a bash over onto Drainer right now. Jamie getting caught in a little bit of damage. I think mana could be a big part of this game. I mean, we're about a minute away from Dampening, and both healers haven't really been taxed too much just yet. They're both hovering around 80%. I don't think anyone snuck away for a drink. There's an attempt here over on the Blizzo, but he should be able to survive. Disarm comes in from Nerd Rage, but ultimately Blizzo gets topped off quite easily. And now, once again, Zeepai, he's trying to retreat, avoid damage from Nerd Rage. Jamie is actually in hot pursuit, trying to keep up the consistent pressure. Purge, keep in mind, is a really big factor in these matchups. Both of the Elemental Shamans have the ability to purge, heal over time effect. So you can see Zeepai, he's going to be able to purge off, stuff like Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist off of Jamie, which makes it more difficult for Drainer to really heal him up. And then, of course, Jamie, if they build momentum, he can use his purge to remove Rejuvenation and Life Bloom from Zeepai to keep up a lot of pressure for his team. So that's when things can really start snowballing out of control. If you get a Sharpened Blade and Purge spam coming in, that's going to be a win condition for both of these teams.
Wildcard Gaming, if they lose this series, they're going to be sacrificing a top 4 finish in terms of point standings. They can't afford to lose this series. They absolutely can't afford to. If they do, Change My Mind has good opportunities. Zizon continues to build their already quite significant lead. Diabolus have a good shot as well of going into the top 4, and at that point, if you're Wildcard Gaming, you're maybe in the 6th or 7th place position, when in spring season, they were number 2. They were rivaling Method Black. They were one of the only teams to even come close to beating them, so this is quite a fall from grace for Wildcard Gaming if they can't come back. Fortunately, against Zizon, they've got effectively a mirror match. They can prove that they are the best. They can prove that they deserve their spot in this series here and now. They don't have to deal with the counters of that rogue mage. So they've got the best shot to make it through, but Zizon may just be on a whole another plane of power. Zeepai stunned up, taking a huge hit. Looney saves him with Iron Bark. Jamie now on the back foot, on the run. Blizzo trying to connect, but not able to. Swings over to Drainer for a second, then charges in. Ursul's Vortex holding Jamie in place for Blizzo, but Life Cocoon from Drainer is more than enough to save him. Blizzo is going to switch targets. That Vision of Perfection, proccing Blade Storms to remove slows, giving Blizzo a lot of uptime onto Drainer on that Monk, looking to chop him up. Big damage from the Warbreaker, but Ring of Peace from Drainer stalls the assault of Blizzo for now. Zeepai still right on top of him. No interrupts, it doesn't look. Looks like they really just want to target Drainer, but we've seen this before when the Warriors overextend. They usually get punished. Drainer's trying to reposition. Where is he going to go? Not many cooldowns. Manages to at least just get away from the fight. Should stabilize back behind the pillar. Dampening now at 10%, and I think Looney is sitting down for a drink, so mana is likely even at this point, and it's still anyone's game.
Definitely is. We're at 10% dampening. Drainer at around 70% mana. Looney wasn't able to recover his mana. He's in a full fear. Nerd Rage looking to set up his team with a Lightning Lasso over onto Blizzo. Can they take him down? I think Looney should have the healing with Innervate rolling. He could be very inefficient at this point as all his heals are free of charge. And Zeepai is taking a little bit of damage, but I think he should be able to stay alive. Paralysis as Drainer moves forward, trying to get crowd control, set up his team for a potential kill. Zeepai has to trade out his Astral Shift. He's looking to get out of line of sight of Jamie, but Jamie in hot pursuit. Drainer stabilizes his team. Looney should be able to recover as well, but he did use a fair bit of mana. And do you think that's what Zizon was going for, Sid? Do you think they just want to go for that mana edge?
Could be. I mean, Mistweaver with the passive regeneration, even in the last patch, was superior to Druid. Hook Point, a good map to stop Druids from drinking, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. Nerd Rage in trouble, though. His entire team crowd controlled. Drainer saves him in the nick of time with Life Cocoon. Looney exchanges Iron Bark to stabilize Blizzo. Drainer then gets swapped to. Big Earth Shock from Zeepai. Lightning Lasso, good follow-up, lots of damage. How is Drainer going to deal with the situation? That's the downfall of Hook Point, is that you've nowhere to really run. Blizzo in hot pursuit. Thunderstorm knocks Blizzo away. Zeepai's right back on top of him. Drainer fake casts the Wind Shear. He needs to connect some heals right now, and he's going to be able to. Blizzo isn't able to connect. Nerd Rage peels him away. Drainer recovers. Good teamwork between Drainer and Jamie with that Thunderstorm, buying enough time for Drainer to stay alive. Drainer now looks like he wants to get crowd control, but gets intercepted by Blizzo. Where's the paralysis? That is something that the Mistweaver brings as an advantage. I feel like we haven't even really seen too many paralysis cross crowd control attempts. I would say the offense from Zizon could be a bit more coordinated. Definitely a way for them to close the game out, but their main win condition does still appear to be just run Looney out of mana. The real question then comes is whether or not the new essences will actually allow Looney to run completely out of mana, and if he can't, then perhaps Zizon just get overwhelmed and this strategy backfires.
And Lightning Lasso over onto Zeepai. Here we go. Some big pressure coming in from Zizon. Jamie trying to set up his team. Looney gets wind sheared. There's no Iron Bark. They have to rely on the Astral Shift. Drainer gets interrupted as they look to set up over onto Nerd Rage. Good cross pressure coming in from Wildcard Gaming. They're looking to reverse the damage. Looney does manage to stabilize his team. Sharpened Blade coming in from Blizzo. Nerd Rage in Life Cocoon should be completely fine. There's a big exchange in defensive cooldowns during that moment, but both teams have stabilized at around 24% dampening. Leg sweep now over onto Looney. Lightning Lasso over onto Blizzo. He's 50% health. What are they going to be able to do? He's getting low, actually. Jamie with big damage. He's falling behind. Looney has to play catch-up right now. He has the Iron Bark, but just not committing it. Blizzo gets his arm. And it looks like Wildcard Gaming, things are sort of slowly falling apart. Looney with the greedy Iron Bark, and look at the mana lead. Zizon is just way ahead. Drainer on the Mistweaver Monk leaps and bounds ahead in terms of mana. Looney's going to have to sneak away for a drink unless he can just hold on with fumes. I mean, Sid, do you think that's something he's going to be able to do?
I think at least until maybe another 10% dampening, that could be the case. But right now, there's the crowd control. Paralysis on Looney, 2 members low on health. And we may actually see Looney switch to Mistweaver with how one-sided this looks in dampening with the Mistweaver versus the Druid. And we could actually have this series decided on who is actually the better Mistweaver Elemental Arms Warrior. And we'll be able to decide who the better healer is overall, because right now it's not looking too good for Wildcard Gaming. 2 members still critically low on health. 31% dampening, reducing that healing by 31%. Blizzo's trying to push Jamie over, but Jamie still has options. Blizzo's overextended. Lightning Lasso connects. He's forced to use the Dyer's Medallion to break it, but it's overlapped with Looney's Iron Bark. Jamie going to respect that exchange and activate the Astral Shift as Drainer is cycloned. Instead, they switch targets over to Nerd Rage, trying to just hit the most vulnerable. Now the defense is over. They switch back to Jamie. That's the Gladiator Safeguard procced immediately. Blizzo being pushed back by Nerd Rage. He has to die by the sword. Nerd Rage now being pushed back by Blizzo. He has to die by the sword. Both teams burning out of their cooldowns quite quickly in this position. Who's going to fall first? Who's going to move to match points? Nerd Rage could easily fall. Drainer is desperate, trying to get some heals. He rolls in. Maybe he's got a leg sweep, lands the double. Wind shears Looney. Perfect crowd control right there to close it out. That was looking dicey, but Zizon now moved to match point.
That was a crazy difference. Honestly, I'm not sure I expected that. Drainer, maybe he just looked more comfortable on the Monk, but either way, the pressure completely seemed to shift. Now Wildcard Gaming once again find themselves facing elimination here. 2-1 down. Zizon with a really commanding game 3 there.
Yeah, but I feel like the Mistweaver works a lot better on a small map like Hook Point compared to like some of the larger maps, just because, you know, it's a lot easier to stop drinks, like you mentioned already on the Resto Druid, which was, I think, a big reason to why we saw the Warrior go down there, but also it's just easier to be effective as a monk on a small map. You can port around, you can kite, you can roll in and land incapacitates without having to cross the entire map and risk getting swapped or CC2. There's just a lot of reasons why the Mistweaver is so good, but here, of course, mana is going to be the primary reason. We see both warriors kind of going head-to-head here. Nerd Rage and Blizzo both fairly low here. Zeepai taking a little bit of damage too, but it's going to be all about the warriors. Nerd Rage activates the Die by the Sword, so does Blizzo. And of course, Zeepai has that Stormkeeper up as well, doing a whole bunch of damage. Nice Cyclone onto Jamie. Not going to be enough though, because here is the game-winning play. Nice Wind Shear from Jamie, and Drainer also sweeps in there with a double leg sweep. And that's, you know, if you don't have a way out of that leg sweep, you're going to tank a lot of damage.
Yep, and that was ultimately the end of the story there. Just a fantastic game coming in. Good, I guess, knowledge of the matchup to know that bringing in the Mistweaver Monk would play out for them. And I guess that's something that's really nice about the Mistweaver too, right? It's like, not only is your mana efficiency great, also your throughput in deep dampening when you have that mana lead is just so strong. And at the end, it was a great one coming in there from Zizon. Now the question we were kind of pondering in the pre-game is, does Looney chase Drainer and bringing in his own Mistweaver here?
Well, I think Zico kind of talked about it a little bit. I think on the smaller map, the Mistweaver Monk really has an advantage, but luckily for Wildcard Gaming, if they want to continue, you know, trying to play the Restoration Druid and continue that advantage, they can go to a smaller map, or sorry, a larger map if they really want to. If they do decide to go to a smaller map, I think it's likely we do see Mistweaver versus Mistweaver, but I still think they have that as an option, but they might be forced into the Mistweaver mirror if we go to a game 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, you again, Wildcard Gaming, if you look to them in spring, you wouldn't expect them to be in this situation where, you know, they're barely in the top 4 right now. I think they're tied for 3rd on points. They're facing elimination before top 4 in another cup here if they are to lose to Zizon. And Zizon, I mean, you guys predicted it, 65% of you or so saying that they were the favorite here. And it does seem that way. I mean, they had the smart first pick. They lose the Mirror Shore on the kind of ult healer for the Drainer. Now he brings his main healer in. They're looking fantastic. Damage was pretty even. The healing just looked great. The map choice is going to be a big thing. We can see the draft coming up here, and we're just kind of waiting to see what Wildcard goes with, because they need to take their time. They can't afford another bad performance here.
I think if Drainer blind locks the Mistweaver, then it's a good opportunity for them to change comp. They could just play the Mage Elemental, or they could play the Windwalker Frost Mage, something like this on a big map. I think would exploit the weakness of the Mistweaver a lot more. But then when we move into game 5 where they have to blind lock, maybe they do have to play the Mistweaver Thunder and Mirror. That being said, that Zizon has an answer for the Windwalker Mage, which would probably be the Destruction Elemental or something along those lines. So Wildcard Gaming picks the big map.
Yep.
They're setting up Zizon to lock in Mistweaver, Thundercleave, the same comp that they just played. And then when they do, what does Wildcard Gaming do? Do they mirror them again, or do they change? I feel like with the map that they've selected, it would be more likely they find victory if they change.
Would it be smart if they went over to Resto Druid Thunder again, you think, Zizon, as they're blind?
I don't know. I feel like it just seems like Draenor is a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable on the Mistweaver Monk. They still, of course, will have the mana lead. I think on paper, you would expect the Restoration Druid to be a little bit better, but I don't know. I think they can definitely go with the Mistweaver. And even if it is Mistweaver versus Restoration Druid, they still have a fair shot. So in terms of comfort, they might just want to stick with, you know, what they know the best.
Yeah, okay. Well, decisions on both these sides. It's been a really close series. Really like to see the kind of back and forth between these two teams because, as we say, you know, these are kind of the two teams that run very similar stuff. They play the TSG, both of them can mirror it. They play the Thundercleave, the Elemental Warrior, both of them can mirror it. And it really is kind of the battle of who is the best at these very similar compositions. Zizon, kind of an amalgamation of different teams. Jamie coming in, Nerd Rage. Jamie's been kind of playing a little bit of the Savantis role, a little bit of the Zeepai role. He's been doing a fantastic job for his team. Wildcard Gaming, though, you would expect them to always, especially if we go back, like we've been following Europe for such a long time, Zico, over the last like 3-4 years, you would say that it's Blizzo, it's Zeepai, it's Looney, who are the best at these roles. Zizon have been doing a great job of catching up and potentially overtaking.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Zizon looks like they're just, you know, kind of a newly reformed team, a little bit hungrier. Wildcard, I feel like it's been a little bit weird to kind of figure out where to put Wildcard because sometimes they just look like the best team.
Yeah.
And when they do, it's for a very long period of time too, you know, like especially when they had Warwicks on the roster, right? It was pretty much always, okay, well, we expect these guys to qualify for the lands, we expect these guys to do well in the cups. But now even when they added Maro, they had a very strong showing in spring, and it's only been in summer where things have been looking a little bit dicey for them ever since the spring finals, honestly.
Yeah.
Up until the spring finals, they were just winning every tournament, you know, the cups, and at the actual spring finals, they, I think they came 5th or 6th, and I guess that's pretty disappointing for them by their own standards. And then in the summer season, they really haven't been able to, you know, find that 1 or 2 comps that they just can beat anybody with. So Wildcard Gaming seem like they're in a tougher spot, whereas Zizon, they know, okay, well, this is what we have, this is who we have, and we're going to make it work.
Yeah, and it is interesting that the one big difference between the two teams is that Zizon is running with a Warlock player in Mercy, and Wildcard Gaming were running with the Warlock of Warwicks. Obviously, they replaced him for Maro, and Maro has yet to make an appearance here. Zizon does swap over to the Restoration Druid, so Draenor favoring that on the larger map. Just one quick pulse check. Wildcard Gaming, would we like to see them just lock in the mirror here again, or do you think Maro coming in? It's the mirror for sure?
Mirror for sure.
Okay, well, we'll have to see if they do it. They've got 10 seconds left. They're really, you know, they're counting their chickens right here. They're really scared, I think, in this situation. They probably didn't expect to once again be facing elimination here.
I mean, probably not, especially with this composition. I mean,
what?
In game number 1, yeah, I was going to actually make a joke about saying counting their chickens. I was like, is Maro really going to come in on the Moonkin? And
I planned that all along.
This is kind of surprising. So I guess the logic here for Wildcard Gaming is you can kind of bully a warrior in this situation. You have, you know, the Moonkin and the Elemental Shaman. Both of them should be pretty durable against that Arms Warrior, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to get the damage rolling.
You don't seem to
disagree?
I think Arms Warrior just skins and defeathers the Moonkin alive.
In that order? That sounds painful.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Could happen, but I don't like the Moonkin. I think Mage would have been better than Moonkin in this particular matchup. I think Nerd Rage is going to do an unhealable amount of damage tomorrow, and then Looney's just going to run out of mana quite quickly. I'm not a fan of this comp in particular. I think they had better options.
I think this is the first time we've seen the Moonkin, right? Is there anything in 8.2 that would give them an edge? Not
defensively. I mean, Arms Warrior was pretty good at killing Moonkin before, and I don't think anything defensively came of 8.2. The only thing really is that they could run the Lucid Dreams Minor, and they can run the Essence of Vision of Perfection for more incarnations, so they're a lot more punchy, which definitely is something to take into account. If they can force cooldowns of the incarnation and then get the Vision of Perfection later on, they can find a kill. But defensively, I think Maro's in a lot of trouble.
Also, one of the things to note that was a big nerf for Druids in general is that the way Moonkin used to play was you just sit in bear form till Dampening spamming Moonfire.
You can't do that anymore. Yeah,
Moonfire takes you out of bear form. So if Mara really is forced that defensively, he will do 0 damage. So we really have to hope for his case that that isn't true, and I hope that he's considered that when locking in this pick as well, because that is a big change for Moonkin. But Wildcard Gaming really like this composition. They like to dampen people, and I guess if you were going to take a team to 80% dampening or whatever it is that Wildcard Gaming are looking for here, the Arms Warrior doesn't have any self-healing, so he could get rotted down by these dots potentially.
I think the Moonfire thing is an important thing to know. Like, even when I'm just playing, I just forget while I'm playing that you can't do it. So it's like a rogue attacking you and you press Moonfire because you're so used to just doing that, especially when I face Peekaboo a lot, of just pressing Moonfire in bear form, but now it takes you out. So quite literally, Maro is going to do nothing and die this game. This is my prediction. Well, if I beat him while rapping, then he's sad. But then if he beats me, then he's happy.
Well, Moonfiring, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't do that anymore, so I'm going to be sad every game. I think Maro is going to be sad this game.
Well, that's the prediction. Anyone want to take Wildcard side on this? I'm just so surprised they didn't look in the mirror. Like, they look so good.
I think it can work.
I think it can work too. Because of the Restoration Druid and the map. I think because they're going up against Rain on the Restoration Druid, I mean, maybe later on in the game, I think going up against a Mistweaver Monk, if he had counteract magic, would be an absolute disaster as his composition. But because he locked in the Restoration Druid, because of Tolvaron Arena, maybe they could swing it in their favor. And I mean, Maro on the Moonkin, like you said, with all the cooldown reduction, the chance to just proc Incarnation, might be able to just get a big one-shot at some point.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. I mean, we are ready to load up the teams into the game momentarily here. Tolvaron Arena, the biggest in the pool. Wildcard, very familiar with this composition. I think they were running it at the spring finals into Cloud9, right? Like, this was this really has been one of their staple compositions. Not something we would expect from them, given they're normally running the Cleaves, but, I mean, it's still Zeepai on the Elemental, Looney on the Mistweaver, and Maro on the Moonkin. So these guys still absolutely stellar at these classes, no pun intended. And here we have the situation where if they do lose, they can't afford any more mistakes. If they lose this one, they're out of the tournament again, early again. Wildcard Gaming, it hasn't been a good season for them. Zizon, obviously, they'd love to have a second chance at Method Black and whoever basically stands in their way.
I mean, of course, they want to go as deep in this tournament as they possibly can. They're still on that cutoff. It's not sure, you know, they want to secure their top 4 as much as possible to make it to that summer finals. So for Zizon, they have to make a deep run. Obviously, Wildcard Gaming stands in the way right now. Wildcard Gaming for so long was in contention with Method Black for that first place in Europe, and it seems like they fell from that. And I feel like for Wildcard Gaming, they kind of lost the hope that they could qualify on points. So now they really have to focus on making that top 4. I don't think they're going to be first place in Europe on points to make the BlizzCon, so there's no guarantee that way. They have to make top 4. They have to have a really good showing at the summer finals, and if they can't do that, it's
lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if Method Black continues being as good as they are, then they could take the points with second.
Yep.
If Method Black
they have a good
Yeah.
performance for the rest of summer, I mean, one of these other teams maybe in the overall point standings could catch them.
Yeah, potentially.
I mean-
I was talking to Fried about that a little bit, actually. I think Changed My Mind, well, actually, they were counting that, and they were like, okay, but the problem is, Changed My Mind also had a pretty awful performance in Cup 2, right? They came 7th. So I think both of those teams have 120 points right now in the summer season, meaning that they haven't actually, even though it looks like they're making ground, they haven't actually made any ground on Wildcard Gaming, because for us, Wildcard Gaming, like, not being top 2 is absolutely astounding. So we're saying that it's...
them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone catches them either. It's like...
Very low. Chance that
I mean, unless they disband or something like that, but I doubt that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, if they play every cup, then I think Wildcard are probably going to be able to at least snag the 2nd spot on the yearly standings.
Yeah, which is important.
In which case, if Method Black or Wildcard gets 2nd on summer finals, then they will be going to BlizzCon, both of them. And if both of them gets 1st and 2nd, then Change My Mind gets to go.
So we're basically kind of hoping that North America doesn't just wipe the floor with Europe at the summer finals, or more to the point, Diabolos doesn't wipe the floor with them as well. Either of these things have happened before. I mean, it's been a crazy year, honestly. It's been absolutely... The spring finals changed my perception of the entire AWC. Like, the spring season, you know, it's like Method Black, Wildcard Gaming, 2 of the best teams in North America. You had Cloud9 being clearly the dominant team, I think. And then at the spring finals, I mean, even Method Black, you know, we put such high standards of them, and they didn't have the performance they were expecting. But Wildcard certainly didn't, coming 6th in that tournament. And now they find themselves having a really bad start to the summer season. They need to, at the bare minimum, qualify for the summer finals if they want to make it to BlizzCon. And I mean, this is the composition they're resting their hopes on. It's Morrow subbing in on the Moonkin. They need 2 straight wins here to eliminate Zizon.
I think the Moonkin's damage is a lot scarier in 8.2, but the damage they take is also a lot more intimidating, and also your limitations in bear form now. I think Morrow is going to have a very difficult game. I think this might even be more of a wake-up call of when they can use this composition. It seems like it would be probably better in a Wizard mirror than it was in the past, but against any sort of melee class, it's going to be difficult for Morrow to survive. Let's see where they decide to position. That could be one way that Zizon, or one way that Wildcard Gaming find victory, if Morrow can position where Nerd Rage is vulnerable, dish out a ton of damage. This is a scary moment in the match with Morrow activating that Incarnation. Going to be getting a lot of Star Surges. Nerd Rage is going to respect that cooldown and just vacate the premises, leap back around the corner with his entire team. This is exactly the response that you want to give against the Incarnation of the Balance Druid. Just wait for it to be over, because the one thing the Balance Druid is weak at is holding somebody in position to get a kill. This is, in general, the weakness of the comp of Wildcard Gaming. So Zizon, they're going to chill out, take a chill pill, wait for the Incarnation. It's now over. It's time to go out again and start pushing forward for a kill. But Drainer actually gets interrupted, and Jamie is getting just destroyed by Zeepai right now. A lot of damage onto him. Morrow's trying to support. Jamie is forced to run away again. Zeepai definitely carrying with the pressure. He certainly needs to if Morrow is going to be the target, but now finally Nerd Rage sinking his teeth in.
Yeah, good damage coming in onto Morrow, but he just managed to stabilize. It's going to be really difficult for Looney to continue to heal him up, especially later on in the game, so we'll have to see Wildcard Gaming get out a ton of pressure in this match. They need to force Jamie and Nerd Rage and Drainer back on the pillar. We did see what happened the last time Incarnation was rolling for Morrow. All 3 members decided to run away. Right now, just proc the Incarnation, so able to get a little bit of additional damage off, but unfortunately not able to completely force Zizon to retreat, as Nerd Rage still is all over Morrow. Ironbark gets traded out onto Jamie. He stays alive. Drainer's Man is doing great. Same with Looney. We're about 2 minutes into the game so far. I would say neither team has a clear advantage.
All right, let's see. It's match point here for Zizon. If they win this, this could be devastating for Wildcard's overall placement to qualify in the World Finals, or at least a lot more stress on their plate. Morrow switching over to the Balance Druid, trying to get a boost of power to close this game out and at least tie the series to a game number 5. Will the Balance Druid be enough? Morrow and Nerd Rage going at each other in midfield, but neither one really scratching the surface just yet. Zeepai has been hammering down on onto Jamie, trying to carry pressure onto 2 different targets. This could be a wise move to run Drainer out of mana, but struggling to do so. Drainer in crowd control from Looney, setting up a swap onto Jamie, but Drainer saw it coming, activating Ironbark, but Nerd Rage is left isolated out in midfield, taking a beating. Jamie's going to reposition over to go after Nerd Rage. Grapple weapon from Looney. That could be a way to kill the Arms Warrior, denying his damage and denying his access to defensive abilities like Die by the Sword. Morrow now getting chopped up. Life Cocoon trades from Looney. Drainer getting swapped too. Zeepai really carrying the fight right now, creating opportunities onto basically all 3 members of the team. Morrow trying to capitalize on that for the kill, but Drainer escapes to safety.
Yeah, Jamie forced to run behind the pillar once again. What are they going to be able to get done? Morrow and Zeepai, this is the exact positioning that they want. They want to force Wildcard Gaming, or they want to force Zizon to play defensive in this matchup. And if they can force Zizon defensive, that's when you're really going to see the strength of the Elemental Shaman and the Moonkin with this positioning. But Nerd Rage has been doing a really good job just tanking through this damage with the D-stance. Zeepai finding a lightning lasso, good pressure coming in. Jamie backs up the Nerd Rage just a little bit with a nice wind shear over on Morrow. Drainer in a nice position to top off his team. Nerd Rage completely stable as he looks to get really aggressive with the Avatar.
Yeah, Morrow in a lot of trouble in bear form, not going to be doing too much damage. Nerd Rage setting up for the win. Zeepai denies it, but we see Drainer jump in with follow-up. Morrow could still be in trouble, hovering on very low health in this position. Life Cocoon from Looney, enough to stabilize him for now. Zeepai is still whittling down on health. 1 minute away from Dampening, and Dampening reduces the overall effectiveness of healing in the game. When we get into the deeper stages of a match, things become quite chaotic. Health will be ping-ponging back up and down across both teams, and in a matchup like this, with such limited self-healing on the Warrior and the Balance Druid, anyone could die at any moment. There's opportunities for cross-kills, maybe down to even a 2 versus 2. Just a couple minutes away from that crazy amount of Dampening. In this position, Nerd Rage trying to push for the win. Gets stalled out by Maro with a Cyclone. Maro lobs out a couple Star Surges at Jamie. He ducks for cover around the corner. Drainer picks him up in a jiffy. Jamie then repositions back out into midfield. Who's Jamie going to go after? He's been trying to tee off onto both Zeepai and Nerd Rage, but sometimes going after Drainer. Solar Beam defensively over onto Jamie into a full Hex. Drainer going to dispel that. I feel like Jamie has just been bullied around this game. He's unable to leave the pillar, always sub 80% health. Perhaps this is the strength. Maybe Mistweaver is actually one of the better healers. I mean, we saw Drainer showcase it, and then in this position, it's looking good for Looney as well. We may end up seeing a Mistweaver showdown for game number 5.
Yeah, Nerd Rage almost gets deleted out of the game. Drainer responds with the Iron Bark to keep him alive. Nerd Rage ultimately does survive, but that's the problem. When you play against an Elemental Shaman and a Moonkin, at any moment you can just explode. So you have to be very careful. Maro with the Incarnation rolling up right now. I would like to almost see him use it as sort of a defensive cooldown. If Nerd Rage is playing a little bit too aggressive, no, Maro says, you're wrong, I'm going aggressive right now. So he's going to try to force Nerd Rage away. If he can do that, his team will stabilize. But the thing is, Wildcard Gaming, everyone's healthy right now. So you don't really accomplish too much by using the Incarnation. Everyone's going to run away. You're already full health, so it's not like you have anything to really stand to gain. So I don't necessarily agree with that decision, but if they're looking for just as much damage as possible, that might have been the right play. But Zizon, they're going to completely stabilize, retreat. Drainer's full mana. Looney's 100% mana as well. These healers with these essences, they are very durable in terms of their blue bar.
Yeah, the ever-rising tide, the mana regeneration essence, the minor, both healers likely running this, as well as the memory of lucid dreams major essence. This is going to allow healers a significant amount of mana regeneration. Mistweaver, the strongest mana regeneration, I believe, in patch 8.1.5, so even added on to that, you can see that it's very effective. I think it's almost so effective that Looney should maybe run Way of the Crane as well, just for added damage deeper into Dampening. In this match, though, going for the safe strategy, looking to just drag this fight on as long as possible and then overwhelm the Restoration Druid, likely with Purges from Zeepai and some of the Star Surges from Maro. Now at 11% healing reduction, Drainer and Jamie both locked down in stuns, but not too much damage towards Jamie. Jamie pushing forward, both Elemental Shamans in midfield. Looks like Jamie and Drainer are going to reposition. Maro taking a bit of a beating here from Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage definitely going to be the point guard of the team, the one that initiates and develops all the momentum. And then Jamie will be the one that looks to finish the game off of that momentum. Repositioning on top of Looney. Drainer looks like he's crossing midfield as well. What are Zizon up to? Drainer's going to jump in, go for a bash, go into a Cyclone. Perfectly timed. Maro goes into bear form to try and be more durable during this moment of crowd control on his healer. Looking like it could be more than enough. Looney then reconnects with Life Cocoon. This is now opportunity for Maro to strike back. Star Surge is lobbed out at Jamie. Iron Bark activated by Drainer. Both healers rotating effectively, and Dampening continues to rise.
Yeah, bash over on a Nerd Rage. Do they have any damage to take him down? Double leg sweep once again coming in from Looney. That is actually the play we saw Drainer make, which closed out the last game. So maybe Looney needs to start making those game-winning plays as well, pushing in with the paralysis, with the leg sweep to get that extra crowd control they need. Maro under fire, good damage coming in. Grapple weapon over on a Nerd Rage. He triggers out of that. Unfortunately, it didn't do anything because he has every man for himself. So I think Nerd Rage might have just wasted his every man for himself on that disarm. That's unfortunate. Looney with that disarm completely slows down his damage. Maro with the Incarnation forces Zizon once again to retreat behind the pillar. And here's the thing. At this point in the game, you can afford to retreat behind the pillar, but the next time we see Incarnation, Dampening is going to be even higher. And it's going to be difficult for Drainer to actually completely stabilize and top off his team. You're basically giving Looney a free reset in terms of drinking if he really needs to. Doesn't seem like he needs to at this point in the game, but it becomes a lot more scary to run away and lose all your pressure with the composition Zizon has as the game goes on, especially with Drainer. His mana is actually going down.
All right, let's see if Drainer can regenerate mana and stay in the fight for his team here now at 24% Dampening. I was anticipating Maro to take more damage than he actually did in this particular matchup. It's surprising to see him be so stable. Drainer's engaging crowd control. This is one thing that Zizon could step up, is their overall coordination if they want to punch through and finish the game. So bash on Looney, lightning lasso on Maro, hex on Zeepai. If they maybe coordinate together, they could easily find a kill through this method. So far, they're just working with brute force, but they're being pushed back quite hard. Where's Jamie going to go? He wants to go toe-to-toe right in midfield, but Could be a risky maneuver being so far behind on mana. Looks like they want to commit to it. Lightning Lasso on Drainer from Zipie. Zipie setting up a swap. They see Drainer moving to midfield, looking to blast him. He's going to jump back around the corner and try and recover. Still quite low. Zipie looking for a Hex on Jamie to bait Drainer out of bear form, maybe to dispel, and then attack Drainer again. Lightning bolts lobbed over there. Morrow in a bit of trouble. How are they going to deal with this? Looney is interrupted. This could be it. It could just be good night for Wildcard Gaming. They may have drawn their last card here. Zizon still in a position where they could win, even though they are behind. Drainer needs to be careful to not throw the match and spend too much time in midfield. Wildcard Gaming are certainly capitalizing on that positioning. Jamie now in a Lightning Lasso. Nerd Rage is just soloing Morrow at any moment here now at 31% dampening. I think Morrow's going to be in a lot of trouble. If they can pin Morrow down in bear form for the rest of the match and he can't get any damage out, then he's just going to become overwhelmed. Live Cocoon, Gladiator Safeguard, Absorption Effects overlapped on the side of Wildcard Gaming. The defense is starting to crack.
Yeah, Morrow getting really low. That Ring of Peace paying dividends, but the Blade Storm allows Nerd Rage to move through it. He's in hot pursuit of Morrow. Looney's mana finally starting to whittle down. We're at 35% dampening at this point. What is Wildcard Gaming going to do? If Zizon can develop pressure, if they can force Morrow into bear form, that's when they can really start developing a lead. Avatar gets traded up by Nerd Rage. Jamie pushing in. He's looking to get aggressive. This might be the first time in the game where Morrow is forced to just sit into bear form. So far, it hasn't happened yet. Incarnation's rolling. Jamie has to retreat once again. The paralysis on Drainer forces Jamie to run and hide. And now Looney should be able to top off his team. Heals are coming in. Drainer looking to stabilize as well, but Nerd Rage, he's across the map. Nerd Rage is way overextended right now. Drainer forced to move in. Doesn't have the Iron Bark. He gets caught into a leg sweep. Guy by the sword trades out. And this is the problem with the Arms Warrior. He doesn't have any self-healing. Zipie and Morrow, they're putting out massive pressure. Nerd Rage does manage to survive. Drainer trying to keep him alive. Throws in the Iron Bark as we march towards 40% dampening.
All right, Nerd Rage, you don't have much defense left. Dampening is at a huge value at this point. Zizon are going to retreat away, but where are they going to go? All three members, I think this is a triple kill for Wildcard Gaming here shortly. Drainer has no mana to recover. They got to do something quick, but what can they really do? There's nothing left for them. They're just all so low on health. Drainer's not going to be able to heal them back up anytime soon. Nerd Rage cycling to low health. Jamie taking a punch, looking to wrap around the corner. Drainer's trying to run, but now Nerd Rage is left behind. Zipie maybe a bit overextended. Needs to respect that. Can't stand right on top of the Warrior. All three members of Zizon quivering around the corner, but should this go to a game number 5, Zizon can change their composition. They can get a more favorable matchup if this one doesn't ultimately work out for them. Wildcard Gaming playing this out pretty standard, avoiding the fight, dragging it out to deep dampening, maintaining a significant mana lead, rotating their cooldowns effectively, and just doing a whole bunch of damage. If they can keep it up, perhaps they can just close it out. Good damage on Morrow right now. This is what Zizon need. They need to do enough damage that Morrow is stuck in bear form. If they're forced to run away and they can't attack Morrow and they can't keep him in bear form, they're going to become overwhelmed. So they have to take the risk. They have to go into midfield. They have to make the push, and they have to do it now. Dampening now at 46%. Morrow in bear form. Can they keep him pinned down in bear form? Nerd Rage defensively fears removing the Elemental Shaman damage. Looney rolls forward as well to stop some damage from Jamie. Drainer jumps in, looks for a Cyclone, gets denied on it. Now he's exposed in midfield. Zipie's trying to punish him. Drainer still looking like he wants to try and get a Cyclone. Looney gets wind sheared. Morrow's looking for a Cyclone. Gets one on Jamie. Lightning Lasso on Nerd Rage. No defense. No mana remains. Nerd Rage just pushes forward for the kill. Is he going to kill Morrow before he ultimately falls? He's disarmed. He can't attack. He's got no weapon to his name. Now bashed away for a second. Morrow lobs out a Star Surge, but he's still stuck down in bear form. Looney gets wind sheared. This is the cross kill potential. When we hit 50% plus dampening, Jamie trades defense to stay aggressive. Morrow trades to just stay alive. Life Cocoon's shredded through. Barkskin is fading. Iron Bark active on Jamie. Is it going to be enough to keep Jamie alive? Are we going to a game 5? Rallying cry from Nerd Rage buys a couple of seconds. Grounding Totem soaks up a Star Surge. Jamie on the run, but there's no mana left, and Looney's going to kick him in the face, but Morrow is looking like he's going to fall. Nerd Rage gets to execute, but in this 2 versus 2, you have to give it to the Elemental Shaman. I mean, Nerd Rage is so low on health, and Drainer has no mana. He's running around the corner, but he's at 53% dampening and no mana. I mean, how do you win this if you're Zizon?
Well, we'll see. What is Drainer going to be able to do? Iron Bark's up in 10 seconds. Nerd Rage still alive. Maybe Zipie won't be able to take him down. Nerd Rage putting out good pressure. I don't know. I feel like Zizon's going to be able to stabilize in this situation. We're at 55% dampening, and Drainer's actually healing Nerd Rage up. He might be able to live if he needs to. He can run away. Zipie's going to be moving forward. What is Looney going to do? He's just using the Crackling Jade Lightning. He's kiting away. He might go for a res. He might force Zizon's hand. But look, Nerd Rage actually completely stabilized in this situation, Sid. And it looks like Zizon, they're still in it.
I don't know how this is possible. I felt like Wildcard Gaming were gonna walk away with this. They had a significant mana lead. Now it's 58%. I think this game breaks Dampening. He didn't get that much mana. What? What was he doing?
He's drinking.
But he didn't get any mana.
Had to get out of combat.
No, man.
Well, he has enough mana, obviously. He was completely ooming. He topped off Nerd Rage. Yeah. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Zeepai, he's forced to use his Astral Shift. And Zizon might have actually swung this matchup in their favor. They can't believe it. Wildcard Gaming can't believe it. Looney is going to be able to keep Zeepai alive, but without the Empowered Lightning Lasso, I feel like Zizon can actually easily win this. Lightning Lasso comes in onto Nerd Rage, really doesn't do too much damage. Drainer keeps him alive, moving forward, looking for Solar Wraths. Looney's mana is doing quite well, but Drainer seems to be able to just heal on fumes forever. I mean, he has the Iron Bark rolling. His mana is still hovering around 25% at this point. If he goes for another drink, he's going to be completely fine. You said record levels of dampening. I don't even know what the record is right now.
I think it's 85.
63%, 64%. How high are we going to go?
Yeah, 85% is the dampening record right now, and we're looking to break that here between Zizon and Wildcard Gaming. Now, the question really is can Nerd Rage hit Zeepai long enough to kill him? Because Elemental Shaman is pretty difficult to even just attack as a warrior, but so far it's looking like momentum in favor of Zizon, and perhaps they take this back. Jamie ended up dying first in this game, but that doesn't matter. Morrow fell a few seconds later thanks to Nerd Rage, and now Drainer's mana regeneration is looking like more than enough. Nerd Rage with that new Essence, the Vision of Perfection, granting him more Blade Storm uptime, gives him extra mobility to potentially close the game out. Lightning Lasso still a threat, dealing a lot of damage. Nerd Rage going to just shake it off and keep marching forward with Sharpened Blade active. As soon as he connects, that's going to reduce the healing on Zeepai by 50% for a short time. Drainer using Wild Charge to hold Zeepai in place. Nerd Rage smartly so mounting up, realizing that he's never going to catch that Ghost Wolf. Mount up, reconnect, leap over, go for the War Breaker. Big damage here from Nerd Rage if he can stay on target with Zeepai. Once again, just making it so difficult to do so.
Yeah, 70% dampening right now. Nerd Rage still doing quite fine. Drainer able to keep him alive. And despite all of this, despite dampening being so high, Drainer's actually going up in mana. He's literally regenerating enough mana to stabilize. I mean, he's 50% mana right now. I don't think he was able to sneak away for a drink. Now, basically, a reset to full. Looney looking for a Resuscitate at this point. If he can get the res off, it's going to be big for his team, obviously. He's going to be able to regenerate Morrow back alive, and that would certainly be a win, but it looks like Zizon's
I think we're getting to 100%.
I don't think we're going to get that high, but we'll have to see.
The thing is, neither of these healers are set up for twos, right? There's no feral affinity,
yeah.
There's no way of the crane. So we could actually get massive dampening.
It's just the most, like...
This is massive dampening. We're at 75%.
This isn't massive dampening, Ven.
Unknown waters here.
We're going to get so deep we don't see the light anymore at this point. Zeepai getting chopped up. Nerd Rage trying to continue the pressure. It looks like Life Cocoon gets traded out. Keep in mind what's at stake here. I mean, if Wildcard Gaming loses this game, they're out. They're out of the
They're going to lose.
And they're Cyclone on Looney. Another Cyclone on Looney. Zeepai trying to survive. He has the Astral Shift, but he's just not trading it out. Nerd Rage has so much pressure and momentum at this point. 78% dampening, and he still doesn't use the Astral Shift.
Come on, Zeepai, live a little longer. We're not there yet.
What is he waiting for? Another Blade Storm coming in. There's just so much damage from Nerd Rage with Sharpened Blade. I mean, I do not know how Looney is keeping him alive.
Break the record! World record! Come on, Zeepai, don't die yet. You're 6%. 5% away. Come on, world record. Thunderstorm, Nerd Rage leaps back. He's going in battle stance. That's pretty risky at 80% dampening. Nerd Rage has had enough. He's trying to just close this game out. Zeepai's just trying to break a record because I don't think he's going to be able to win this game. It looks like Zizon are going to advance thanks to Nerd Rage pocketing Morrow right at the last second when Jamie fell. Both members connecting, and I don't think we're breaking records. Zeepai in execute range on the run. He's just not going up and hell storm bolted. Nerd Rage looks to close, connecting huge hits, and they're going to tap out 2% away from the record. But Zizon are going to be feeling good after that victory. This is a good opportunity for them to continue to establish their point lead over every other team, basically other than Method Black.
Well, well, well. Zizon takes the 3-1 victory, and what better way to finish the series than a 2-on-2. I would like to take a second to welcome Hearthstone, who, those of you who are joining, head over to our channel. We have the Arena World Championship right now, and you joined us at a fantastic time, honestly. One of the closest games we've had in the day, going down to a cross kill. One member killed on either side, but the 2 versus 2. Incredible recovery from Drainer and Nerd Rage, and somehow, some way, an impossibly lost game, 2v3, they're able to pull through and win the series.
Yeah, I mean, the 2v2, I think it's kind of safe to assume that when you're playing on Tolveron, you know, the pillars are the biggest in the game. The melee is gonna be able to line of sight, recover, get, you know, kind of a softer reset. But this was the first kill. This was the intriguing part for me, where essentially Drainer had no mana whatsoever, and they just went for the push anyway, where they just completely commit to going out in the open to try to kill Morrow. Morrow has Incarnation up, he has Barkskin up as well, so he can, you know, stay a little longer outside of that bear form. And honestly, if Morrow shifted a little bit sooner, he might have survived. But Nerd Rage, with that sharpened blade, takes him down with those executes as well, and manages to swing the game into a 2v2. And then Nerd Rage again here at the end activates all of his cooldowns, gets Zeepai, you know, fairly low. Zeepai a little bit late with that Astral Shift, but you have to greed your cooldowns in Dampening as well. And Drainer, not even playing the Feral Affinity, still a cat, still looking to pounce his way forward in this tournament. And Nerd Rage gets the Stormbolt here towards the end and manages to close out the game, with Looney, of course, being completely tapped, you know, at 80% plus Dampening.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game that went back and forth. Nerd Rage almost got one shot a couple of times. There's just, it really could have gone either way. Ultimately, obviously, Zizon with the 3-1 victory in the series. Fantastic for them. We can confirm that on the bracket. They are through to Sunday. Championship Sunday, guys, will be our top 4 from both Europe and North America here in the Arena World Championship. Third cup of the summer season. And we have one more order of business for today.